Okay, so let's unpack this. Being an esthetician right now, I mean, wow. It feels like you're standing right at the center of everything, doesn't it? So much opportunity, but also some pretty big challenges.
Oh, absolutely. It's this strange mix.
Yeah, like on one hand, it's incredibly exciting. You've got these cutting edge tools coming out, amazing ingredients like uh, biomimetic peptides, exosomes, those tiny things carrying signals, right?
Exactly. Powerful stuff.
And even seeing how our work connects to bigger things like longevity science or AI starting to pop up for diagnostics. It's an amazing time. The possibilities feel kind of endless.
Totally. But that intensity, it definitely comes with pressure. I mean, the risk of burnout is so
Oh,
real.
yeah.
And the sheer amount of misinformation you have to sift through for yourself and for your clients. Plus, if you're working solo, that feeling of isolation can creep in.
Right. And the market just changes on a dime. It feels like it reinvents itself every month.
It really does.
So that dual reality, it's so true for anyone in the field. And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today, looking at a piece that makes a really strong case for something, well, crucial in this environment.
Yeah, it argues that community, it's not just, a nice extra anymore. According to the source, it's basically essential infrastructure
Mm.
for success, even just for surviving, heading into 2025.
Right. So that's our mission here. Cut through the noise, understand why this source thinks estheticians need community more than ever, and importantly, what does that real impactful community actually look like, not just, a quiet Facebook group. Let's jump in.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the source kicks things off with a pretty bold statement. It frames it around this idea that the era of the solo hero esthetician, well, it's over.
Yes, and that really hit home for me. You know the solo hero, the one who feels like they have to do absolutely everything,
Oh, I know her well.
right? Not just treatments, but booking. Trying to keep up with all the research, testing every single product, doing all the marketing, the taxes, inventory,
Hmm.
maybe even like mixing custom stuff on the side.
Been there. That pressure is intense. And the source argues, pretty convincingly, I thought, that model just isn't sustainable. Not in 2025, not going forward.
And the why behind that really highlights how complex everything's become. Clients are way smarter now, often doing their own research before they even see you.
Definitely. They come in with questions.
Exactly. And trends. Forget about it. They move at like warp speed. You see something blow up online, and boom, clients are asking the next day.
It's unbelievable.
It is. And the ingredients themselves, the modalities we use, they're just significantly more complex than even a few years back. Understanding them properly takes real focus, not just skimming. The source really hammers this point. Science isn't just for the lab coats anymore. Having a solid grasp of the principles is absolutely core to doing good, safe work.
So trying to be the one expert on all of that, plus running the actual business, totally alone, it sounds exhausting, and the source is basically saying it's becoming impossible to do well.
That's the takeaway. The conclusion is clear.
Yeah.
You need what the source called a brain trust, or maybe a team, even if that team is purely digital. The sheer speed and depth of change just demands collaboration. You need shared knowledge.
That makes total sense. Trying to keep up alone feels like paddling against a tidal wave. Okay, so if that's the why, the piece then shifts to the what. What does community actually provide? Because it's not just about getting likes or being in some group chat that's dead silent.
No, exactly. And this is where it gets really practical and powerful. First off, real-time learning.
Okay.
This source points out, with a good community, you're not waiting months for the next big training course to understand something new. Your colleagues are probably already trying out that biofermented retinol or combining exosomes with ultrasound, like right now.
Ah, so they're sharing results as they happen?
Yes. Their immediate results, the challenges they hit, the little tweaks they made. Last week's experiment becomes this week's learning for the group.
Wow, okay. That immediate feedback loop, that's invaluable. It's like having a whole bunch of R&D partners out there on the front lines. Cuts down on the guesswork.
Totally. And that leads right into the next point.
Yep.
Support in real cases. Think about it. You're alone. It's 11 p.m. Maybe you're frantically Googling rosacea reaction after RF treatment or something unexpected that popped up.
Oh God, the late night panic search. Yes, definitely been there.
We all have. So the source contrasts that lonely guesswork with dropping the situation into a dedicated chat, a community where people genuinely get it. They've likely seen something similar.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of waiting or spiraling, you can get multiple insights, suggestions, or just some reassurance, sometimes within minutes. That's massive when you're dealing with a tricky client situation.
That just instantly lowers the stress level, doesn't it? Just knowing you're not the only one facing this specific weird thing.
Huge difference. And then there's shared growth, but beyond just the clinical side. The source suggests that often the best practical tips for marketing, for running things smoothly, for integrating tech, they don't always come from some big-name coach.
Right.
They come from your peers who are actually making it work right now.
Yeah.
It gives this example, like maybe learning how an esthetician in Portugal is using AI tools with Canva to stay fully booked. A super specific, practical tip you probably only get from someone in the trenches.
Yeah, learning from people who are actually doing it, testing strategies in their own practice day in, day out, that's gold.
And finally, the source calls it sanity and soul. Because, let's be real, sometimes the struggle isn't the science. It's needing backup after a client ghosts you after you spend hours on consults and emails.
Yes, that hurts.
Or dealing with some crazy misinformation someone posted online about your work. You need people who understand that specific emotional wear and tear, the unique frustrations of this job.
That really hits home. It's not always about the stratum corneum. Sometimes you just need someone who understands the emotional roller coaster of running this kind of personal service business.
Yeah.
Someone who can empathize or just say, yeah, that sucks. Here's how I handled something similar.
Exactly. That shared understanding is vital.
Okay, so that paints a clear picture of what community offers. The learning, the support, the growth, the sanity check. So what does the source say a great community actually looks like today in 2025? Because it makes the point it's not like those old dusty forums anymore.
No, definitely not. The source uses the term ecosystems, which I think is a great way to put it. Think about a natural ecosystem. Lots of different parts, different roles.
Right, like you've got the plants, the animals, the environment.
Precisely. All interacting, supporting each other. That's the idea for a modern community. It's not just estheticians talking to estheticians. It might involve access to dermatologists, chemists, maybe brand formulators, expert trainers. It's this vibrant, interconnected system.
Okay, so it's about bringing in diverse expertise, not just staying in your own lane.
Exactly. These ecosystems, according to the source, have features like live chats, where you can actually pick the brains of different experts. They involve sharing protocols, like detailed ones, and breaking down real client cases, warts and all. So you learn from actual practice.
Trading actual strategies and learning from what worked and what didn't. Yeah, that sounds way more useful than just theory.
For sure. There's also this idea of co-creation. Maybe collaborating on developing a new protocol together, or creating social media content, or even giving direct feedback that shapes a product. And, importantly, they foster global conversations.
Whoa, okay, so you could be learning from someone in, say, Korea or Brazil who has a totally different perspective or is maybe ahead on using certain tech.
Exactly. That cross-pollination of ideas is huge. The source emphasizes that these aren't places hung up on old hierarchies. It's about the value exchanged. A newbie's question can spark as much insight as a veteran's tip.
I like that, more democratic.
And crucially, they move fast. Because the industry moves fast. The source has this great line, something like, peptides expire faster than TikTok trends.
Ha, that's brilliant. And true. The speed of everything demands a community that can keep pace, right? Where knowledge transfer is quick.
That's the core idea. It needs to be dynamic.
Okay, this is making so much sense. So, if we know why we need it and what makes a great one tick, the next step is figuring out how you, the listener, find that right community for you. The source actually gives a kind of checklist, which is super helpful.
Yeah, think of it like a filter you can use when you're looking at different groups or platforms. First question, does the community share real cases, real results, or is it mainly just, pretty selfies and vague promo stuff?
Okay, substance over surface. Got it. What else?
Does it respect both solid science and actual hands-on clinical experience? It needs that balance theory meets practice.
Right, not just reciting studies, but how does it work on a real person's skin in your treatment room? Makes sense.
And is it genuinely welcoming to everyone? Like brand new SDs finding their feet and the seasoned pros who've seen it all. That mix is what makes the ecosystem thrive.
Learning from all levels of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, does the conversation cover the whole job? Technique and products, sure, but also the business side, the marketing headaches, the emotional stuff we talked about. It needs to be holistic.
Covering all the bases, not just one piece of the puzzle.
And the last one is important. Is the community unafraid to ask tough questions? Is there space for critical thinking, for challenging assumptions, maybe debating different approaches respectfully, of course?
Ooh, I like that. Shows it's a place for real learning, not just agreement. That whole checklist feels really practical. It gives you clear things to look for, helps you avoid groups that are just noise.
Exactly. It empowers you to find a genuinely supportive and valuable space.
So wrapping this all up, the source leaves us with a really powerful final thought, connecting community back to the bigger picture of where the aesthetics profession is heading.
Yeah, it really emphasizes that being an esthetician today, it's so much more than just applying products.
Mhm.
It's touching on neuroscience, understanding technology, having real business skills, and honestly, deep emotional intelligence.
It really is becoming this complex blend of science, artistry, business, intuition even.
It is. And the thread running through all of that, the core message the source keeps coming back to is, above all, it's about connection.
That line really stood out. Your growth will always mirror your circle. That's
Right.
potent.
Isn't it? It makes the call to action really clear. Build a good circle. Find your hub. Join a place where you can connect with others, navigating this same wild, exciting territory with you. The source does mention Open Beauty Hub specifically as being live and an example fitting this model,
Right.
highlighting things like their global chats, protocol sharing,
Mhm.
education that's useful day to day,
Yeah.
and it notes their goal isn't to gatekeep, but to grow together. So that's presented as one example of the type of community we've been discussing.
Good to have a concrete example mentioned in the source. So, okay, recapping. We've got this fast-moving industry, amazing potential, but also real risks of burnout, isolation.
And the source positions connection, that dynamic community, as the absolute key. It's where you get that real-time knowledge, the vital support, the shared growth that you just can't manufacture on your own as a solo hero.
It really brings it home that your growth isn't just about formal courses or textbooks. It's fundamentally about who you learn alongside, how you share, who's in your corner.
That circle, that ecosystem.
Hmm.
It's presented as the foundation for actually thriving, not just getting by.
And the source leaves us with that final, really provocative thought, doesn't it? It's not just about coping. It says, don't just survive 2025, shape it.
Yeah. Makes you think, right, how could having the right people around you, the right connection,